Hey everybody, coming to you live from the beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. And today for our podcast, we have a very special guest. Her name is Parita Patel. Hi. And she is the Chief Operating Officer for our amazing business. She's an amazing human being. She's also a fantastic trainer at our Tampa location. And she just so happens to be a vegetarian.
Yes, ma'am.
What? Yes. So today we're going to dive into her lifestyle and just kind of shed some light on this type of practice. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start at the very beginning. Okay. When did you discover that you were actually a vegetarian?
Growing up, the rule was we don't eat fish or meat, and that's all I really knew. So it was mostly about just being all vegetables and unfortunately a lot more carbs, but I will be completely honest, back in the day I didn't even know what any of that meant. All I knew is what I'm not supposed to have rather than what I'm supposed to have. So it was for the first 2/3 of my life, and I'm 28 now, so you can imagine it's a long time. It was a lot about learning what I didn't know, and it's coming to me more now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as difficult as a child because you really weren't aware that you were doing something different.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a firm believer in you don't know what you don't know. And education starts with your parents and then obviously what you learn in the school system. And I didn't take any specific classes that helped me understand what certain food groups meant to me versus others. Neither did my parents know well enough to be able to be like, this is what it means to be vegetarian, this is what it means to be healthy. It's just that this is not what I'm supposed to have, and I'm going to eat whatever mom makes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, when you were around your friends,
Sure.
did you feel left out, or were you even aware that they could eat things and you couldn't eat things at that point? Like when your friends were around eating certain meats and whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult when we would go out to eat just because I had a lot more limited options.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't always know whether something had chicken broth, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was more about being blissfully unaware. And when I would find out that there are other things, then I would be like, okay, I'm not supposed to have that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it being more like, okay, no, you're not supposed to have that. If you do, then I would feel really, really guilty, like I did something bad, I did something wrong.
Okay.
So then I would just go on the safer side of things and get what I knew. But there was rare occasions where every now and then I would eat lunch at school or something and find out 20 minutes into the meal that there was something in it that I wasn't supposed to have.
Gotcha.
And then I would freak out a little bit and then reset and then move on.
So you weren't made fun of?
No, thankfully no,
Yeah.
but I would definitely have times where my friends would be annoyed that I didn't know what to eat or I couldn't
Gotcha.
figure out where to eat.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So staple foods growing up, what was just traditional for you guys at mealtime?
So we're Indian, so that obviously meant specific certain types of foods. So it was mostly vegetables and then rice and then Indian bread, basically.
Is that called naan?
Naan is the fancier kind, but
Oh.
it's called roti, so it's a more flat. But mom would make everything fresh, so at least we knew what was going into our food.
Got it.
But then obviously being that we were in America, she wanted to make sure that we were exploring different types of cuisine, so she would make her version of enchiladas or pasta or things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, sounds delicious.
Yeah.
So with this lifestyle, did you experience complications or was there a downside that you felt okay, something's not right?
Sure. Until college, I didn't know that I was eating food that basically made me malnourished. I never even really knew what protein was. I had never had a protein shake or anything before. Once all the soy products really started coming out, we started eating more of those because as kids we would see oh, what is this breakfast sausage that people are eating, or chicken nuggets and stuff. And then we would find these bags of different brands that are vegetarian. So then we started eating a lot of soy. Learn a lot later that too much soy is definitely not the best direction for your protein source, but at the time didn't know that either. So it was just a lot coming in at the same time. But I definitely didn't know what it meant to be eating healthy.
Gotcha.
Up until 5-6 years ago.
Okay. Actually, in college, I got into the Morningstar brands.
Yep.
Honestly, not even knowing that they were vegetarian. I just thought, hey, these are microwavable,
Right.
and they taste good.
Sure.
And so I was actually including some of that stuff, but again, not knowing at the time what was truly in it, and just the process nature of it. You didn't do yourself any justice by doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of moving forward, how's your meal prep like now?
It's still not perfected, I'll tell you that. That's why I'm always asking you a million questions all the time. But I do understand how much I need now versus way back in the day, even 5 years ago. When I first started understanding what it meant to exercise and be strong and to work out, which I never did growing up. But once I started understanding, okay, it looks like my body needs X, Y, and Z to actually build muscle. Obviously, protein being the biggest thing and being the most difficult thing to find as vegetarian. Once I understood that, I started to look up, okay, how much do I need? And then the general consensus out there in the fitness industry is like 1.2 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight you are. And I'm like, okay, so I'm supposed to have like 150 grams of protein. And there was a time when I tried to do that, and I remember I did eat eggs, and I remember going through so many eggs. I remember having like 3, sometimes 4 protein shakes a day.
Oh.
And it didn't feel good, but I thought, okay, I have to get this, so I have to do it. So I almost forced myself to do it. So now, after learning so much from you and learning what I really do need in my body, that number is about half of what I thought it was. And it's so much easier for me now to be able to understand what my body needs. And it's not just that protein comes from a protein shake. There's protein inside of things too, like even vegetables. Obviously things like eggs, but from vegetables, and quinoa has protein. So now it's a lot easier for me to really understand. And so meal prep's not nearly as bad.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you balance your meals with your current training regimen? What do you do specifically on your training days?
So training days definitely include one additional protein source of a shake. So between like a vegan product versus a whey, right now I'm still on the whey side. So I do at least one protein shake, and that's usually right around after my workout. Okay. And then outside of that, I usually incorporate some eggs. And then if it's my training day, there's definitely going to be a carb of some source, usually between brown rice and quinoa, and then just a lot of veggies. The last part is obviously going to be the fat. So now I understand how fat is incorporated into everything my body needs. So
yes, lots of good nutrition coming from fat.
Yes.
So do you find that you can still get results being a vegetarian? Meaning, if you're on a fat loss journey, or if you're trying to build muscle, can you get there?
Absolutely. I'm actually at not necessarily my lowest weight, but I'm definitely the strongest I've ever been, which is awesome and very exciting.
Whoop.
I can lift a lot heavier than I've ever been able to do, and I've been able to do it in a way that isn't too much. I definitely feel like my body's able to recover because I'm feeding myself the way I'm supposed to be. So that's huge, obviously. I'm in the best shape of my life, but I still have a long way to go. So it's definitely, the more knowledge you have, way easier it is.
Amen, Sister Fran. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. So let's talk supplements.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big subject here. Did you take any before? And what's your regimen now?
Yeah. Definitely didn't know what supplements were 5-6 years ago. Didn't really take any extra vitamins. My mom would always say, oh, take a multivitamin every day. So I did that, but I was really bad about being consistent. So now it's either the protein supplement and then flaxseed oil.
Okay.
So I started taking some of that as an alternative to fish oil.
Great.
Other than that, nope.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to get it through as much natural sources as possible.
Whole food sources, always your best bet, but sometimes you can't get to them.
Yes.
But I'm glad you're making an effort
Yes.
to get in some extra omegas, good fatties. Good fatties.
Yes.
What do you find to be the most beneficial thing about being a vegetarian?
So all my friends that actually do eat meat and any kind of animal products, sometimes I've heard the term meat sweats before, and I've heard the term just like too much. I mean, not that I understand how that feels, but I definitely feel like clean,
Mm-hmm.
if that is
Good
the right word.
Good word.
You know, and I know fiber, like I keep learning from you how important fiber is,
Yes.
and that's so, it's huge from vegetables and the right source of carbohydrates. Fiber is so important, and that keeps you, you know, regulated and things like that. So yeah, so I would say that's the way for me to describe.
Now, you keep saying you've learned a lot from me, but
Yes.
I've also taken some tips from you, meaning
Sure.
I've started incorporating Meatless Mondays,
Yay!
where I go completely meat-free. I will do, you know, fishes of some sources of protein, but like she said, I feel clean on the inside. It's hard to describe. It's like
Sure.
this natural cleanse almost, because you're getting your foods from whole sources of vegetables and good healthy fats and things like that.
Right.
And it's just almost this natural cleanse. You're giving your body a break from constantly pounding it with meat products.
Sure.
Side note, please keep in mind, all meat and chicken and whatnot,
Sure.
they have to be fed something. And 9 times out of 10, there is no regulation on what they eat. So most likely they're eating some type of corn base. So if you are consuming what that pig had or what that cow had, you're likely consuming corn as well. And we all know that corn is genetically modified. So again, at the end of the day, giving yourself a break from those food products, those meats, those heavy sources of protein, you're giving your body a natural cleanse. You're doing yourself a favor. I never thought I would ever try it, but I am for it, pro it. I mean, lots of benefits to it. So that was side. Yes, I digress. Do you have any concerns or maybe future concerns about this lifestyle? Anything?
No, not at all. Now that I really understand what it means, now that I understand how food is going to impact my body, all I want to do is help all the people I know understand that too. From different cultures and different backgrounds, you have different kinds of diets that people follow. There's pescatarian, there's vegan, there's vegetarian, there's obviously non-vegetarian. But for all my vegetarian people out there, like, I want you to understand what it takes to be a vegetarian, but not be like lacking on all the things your body really needs. So like for me, the biggest thing is to help as many people as possible, to help them understand how to be a good vegetarian. Growing up, I was not a good vegetarian at all, whether the food was all frozen or I actually hated salads. I never used to eat salad. What kind of vegetarian doesn't like salads? I know.
Oh my goodness.
But I love them now, obviously, and I incorporate so much more vegetables than way back in the day, but it's just about helping people understand how to be a vegetarian, but a good one.
Balance.
Absolutely right.
Balance.
Absolutely.
All right, so what is your absolute favorite meal to make?
Okay. It's always going to be, I've always loved the vegetables and stuff that have more depth to them. So I've always been a big fan of like mushrooms and eggplant. Once I discovered the eggplant parm, that's my go-to. No matter what I eat in my life, I can't get enough of eggplant parm.
Kind of take a step-by-step on how you prepare it.
So my brother has a recipe that changes lives. And so to be honest, I don't make it for myself unless I'm having it from him.
Gotcha.
But he actually like will break down the eggplant, like a fresh eggplant, do a very, very light breading, and then he bakes it, and we don't even add any other kind of pasta or anything to it, just a little bit of cheese, a ton of veggies in the sauce, and the sauce is going to be where your flavor comes from. So we use a lot of like, we mix Indian and Italian spices, we use a lot of like cumin seeds and paprika, chili powder, all that kind of stuff, making a fresh sauce, and then just layering it up. I like to add ricotta cheese every now and then, a couple layer of like spinach, things like that, but can't go wrong with good eggplant parm.
Gotcha. So to clarify for my non-vegetarians, you can eat dairy, correct? Cheese?
Yes.
Cheese,
Yes.
Eggs, all the above?
Oh, definitely. Eggs, I don't want to get into the details of eggs, but there's definitely a battle between whether eggs is okay or not.
Yeah.
If you're going no dairy, no eggs, that's vegan.
Yes.
And that seems way more difficult to me than the vegetarian lifestyle.
I agree. But seafood.
Yes, so seafood, if you do have seafood, then you're technically a pescatarian.
Gotcha.
Meaning like everything that vegetarian rules apply except you eat fish.
Okay.
That's what I've learned.
Okay, there, see,
Yes.
learning for you too.
There you go.
Moving on to recommendations and suggestions. If someone was trying to wean themselves off of meat, just knowing what they know and educating themselves, what would you say is an easy swap in the very beginning?
Okay.
Easy recipe, anything that you can think of might help them take one step forward.
Sure. So I have come across this product called Seitan. Seitan.
Okay.
Something that I've originally found, I believe, in Trader Joe's.
Okay.
But it has the texture of meat from what I've been told. But it's completely made from like different sources of protein. Pea protein, mushroom protein is a thing too.
Hi.
Yeah, and it has the same texture, but it's not meat. And it's not like overly processed. But that's a good way to still feel like you're having like that fullness that
The
you usually
heartiness,
get. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I would say starting to at least try a couple of those products. Tofu every now and then is okay, but not as a regular source of protein. Definitely some of those products, because at the end of the day you want to feel full and satisfied.
Absolutely.
So if you are going to wean off the meat, make sure you're still including some of those good fats so that you do feel full. I think that is what would make the biggest difference. But do a little research on different vegetarian alternatives. So many grocery stores now versus 10 years ago. I mean, there's so many things out there, and it's much easier to be vegetarian now than it was a while ago.
I agree.
A healthy vegetarian.
A healthy vegetarian, yes.
Correct.
I do have some black bean burgers that I made.
Yeah.
They are on the website, foryoufitness.com. I will tell you the texture on that, again, you really have to play with your recipe a little bit, but it has a meatiness to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as long as the flavor's there, you got your spices,
Yeah.
a little bit of egg, muddled black beans, you know, you're good to go. So don't be afraid to try new things because it can really have long-term benefits.
Sure.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about just some takeaway tips and suggestions for people. Some just recommendations regarding portions, quantities, balance.
Absolutely.
Number one, you mentioned this before. We're going to try to incorporate handfuls of leafy green vegetables, all types of greens, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, arugula, and also additional vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, cucumber, mushrooms, all the above, because they're super low in calories.
Yes.
And we really don't even count those. I always recommend those voluminous vegetables not to be counted because we want you to eat them. Why? Not only are they have sources of protein in them, but they're also rich in potassium and rich in iron.
Sure.
So have as much as you want, but that's what's going to give you that fullness, that kind of satiating effect, because it's kind of expanding your stomach like this with all those vegetables. So load it up. Make sure you have a solid base at the bottom. Salads, right? Right. Now, again, don't worry about how much. Just eat a lot. Eat until you're pleasantly happy. Okay. Number two, we do want to encourage the incorporation of healthy fats.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're talking about our avocados, our raw and unsalted nuts, our coconut oil, any type of nut oil in general. We've got your ghee, which is your dairy-free kind of butter per se. We've got your flax seeds, your flax meal. There's all sorts of healthy fats out there. Don't be afraid of them. Again, like she mentioned, this is going to give you that satiating effect that it's going to keep you fuller for longer, and it's going to keep your hunger at bay.
100%.
Absolutely. You cannot go fat-free. You will feel constantly hungry without those healthy fats.
Definitely.
Especially since your protein won't necessarily be as high since you're getting it from different sources.
Right.
Correct? So for example, morning shake, what you would put into it, plant-based protein or maybe a whey protein.
Sure.
Then you would add in handfuls of maybe spinach. Okay, they have no flavor in a shake, so don't be afraid of that. You cannot taste the spinach. Add in some almond butter, maybe some flax meal seeds, top it off with some cinnamon, and just mix it with almond milk, and you have a hearty shake that's honestly super low carb too.
Yeah,
it's a win-win.
it is a win-win.
Right?
I I do have another shake recipe that is going to sound really weird, and I have to make it for you one day because I think you'll love it.
Yes.
But one of our trainers, Chelsea, she loved it. So it's actually an avocado protein shake.
I throw avocado in my shakes.
So good.
Oh!
It's the most simple recipe too. My grandmother used to make avocado milkshake growing up, and she would do vanilla ice cream because delicious.
Yes.
I just replaced that ice cream with a scoop of vanilla protein, and it tastes the exact same to me. So I'll do just like maybe a cup of almond milk, half an avocado, a scoop of vanilla protein, whether that's plant-based or whey, and that's it. You can put ice in it and throw spinach in it because since it doesn't have the flavor, and the avocado is going to make it green anyways. Oh my goodness, delicious.
Yes.
Super simple.
This is what I put in my protein shakes. Avocado as a base. If I don't have almond butter or anything to give it that creaminess, the avocado will do that. And you cannot taste the avocado. If you're not an avocado fan, you cannot taste it. I guarantee it. And if anything, you just mask it with maybe a little vanilla extract or any type of extract like that, butter extract, whatever you want. It'll give it a little bit of liveliness there. Great tip there. Number 3, you always want to think balance. We talked about that too as well. So
keyword.
Give you a couple examples. Say, for lunch, you're going to go down and you're going to have some tofu or tempeh, and those are all soy based. Then for dinner, you're going to want to swap out those proteins for maybe eggs, and if you're a pescatarian, maybe salmon or shrimp. So change your protein sources from lunch to dinner. Don't hit it hard every day for both breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's a great idea. I never thought about
Change the protein source.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then second example, if you're going to do rice or veggies for lunch, then for dinner, swap it out and then go for chickpeas or lentils as your source of carbs.
Absolutely.
Again, both of those are super high in fiber, and it's just going to give you some variety. So it'll keep you happy. Nobody wants to eat the same thing every day. Anything of too much of anything is not necessarily a good thing, especially when it comes to food. So balance is key.
Correct.
Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. So going back to our soybeans, if you're going to choose soy, which is also comes in the forms of your tofu and your tempeh, we want to look for organic, a must, as well as a fermented tofu or tempeh. You want to get the highest quality when it comes to soybeans. Again, do your homework, do your due diligence when it comes to soy products. We aren't necessarily fans, but this is on you. You make that choice, okay? But again, balance is everything. So organic and fermented. Trader Joe's has a high protein tofu that we both absolutely love.
Fantastic.
Again, we'll incorporate it once a week, maybe 2 max, but that's it. Bring in other sources of proteins. There are also many plant-based proteins that actually taste good now. Before, when they were first coming out at Whole Foods, number one, they were way overpriced at Whole Foods. Sorry, Whole Foods. But we can find other plant-sourced protein powders. Costco, for instance, has an Orgain plant-based plant-based protein powder that is to die for. They make it in chocolate. They make it in peanut butter. Yes, I have converted a lot of my whey drinkers to this plant-based protein.
Me next.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'll bring you samples.
There you go.
So just again, you're going to have to try. You have to try until you find the one. You don't have to force yourself to drink something that's just disgusting. No, don't do that to yourself. Make sure it tastes good.
Yeah. You don't have to be miserable.
No, you don't have to be. No. So again, lots more options out there for vegetarians.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give you recommendation lists for additional supplements if you aren't getting it from whole sources.
Sure.
So you mentioned flaxseed oil for your omegas, right?
Right.
Well, Costco also sells a wild Alaskan salmon oil. Oh, hi. Yeah. Okay. There's other sources of fish oils and omegas that you just have to do your research as well. Absolutely. Calcium for your bones and your teeth. This is important, right? This smile.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Bones are important as well.
Yes.
Okay. Calcium, number 1. Number 2.
Adding it to my list.
Yes. Iron.
Right.
Since you're not eating meat, we're lacking some iron. And iron is super important for just energy levels and strength in general.
That's so true. I forget that so many vegetarians are actually anemic because they don't get enough iron.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely a good one.
A lot of women that I know just absolutely refuse to just take supplements in general. And these aren't, your thermogenics and stuff that are for pre-workouts. No, this is just because you're not getting it from natural sources. So you probably do have to supplement. And worst case, get yourself to the doctor and get your blood checked, okay? Just to see where you're deficient. Be your own doctor and be aware. Okay, going back to the list. Number 3, vitamin D. Nice. Whether it's through natural sunlight, yes, or through a supplement, this is going to help with the absorption of the calcium as well. And not only that, may help you sleep better too. Okay, good for sleep.
Things I didn't know.
Yes, us ladies, it's gonna happen over time, and sleep is going to be an issue. Lastly, B12 or a B complex. Also, this is going to assist in energy and balance. I failed to mention when I was talking about the omegas and the fish oils and things like that, that is also an aid for sleep as well as for brain health and heart health. Got it? Okay. Do we have our list? We got our list? Okay. So, that's all for today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If you guys enjoyed this content and the previous content from our previous episodes, please make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if, again, you liked it, give us a 5-star rating. Thank you guys for joining so much. And you guys have an awesome day.